I saved you this amount of money. Now you can afford umbrella. No, you need the umbrella. Now let's make it affordable for you can buy everything. You need the complete package.
We start putting all these boundaries in. Like we're having a conversation with ourselves about their coverage where we need to just have it with the client. All right. I am joined here today with my good friend and fellow Irish person, I guess I could say, Jason Kilgo. We were just talking about St. Patrick's Day before this, so it got us going. But I am so honored to have Jason here today. Jason is one of our top content viewers, means he scours our website looking for all sorts of fun things. Maybe like a leprechaun looking for gold. I don't know. But I feel like everybody knows Jason because, you are well known. Like people even call me up and be like, hey, I want to do what Jason does with Lead with Umbrella. And I'm like, that's amazing. I know Jason. Tell me more. So, Jason, why don't you tell everybody who you are, what's going on, how you got started in this crazy industry, and we'll go from there.
Sure. Jason Kilgo Insurance out of Richmond, Virginia. Grew up here and I've moved up and down the East Coast, but really was just by chance needing a job. I was struggling as a young adult and walked into Geico and told them I would be their best seller. And I was very fortunate that they took a shot, gave me a chance, and learned from, I think, one of the best companies out there that you can learn insurance from. I think the training was amazing.
If I recall, you were like the top producer, and I think you lived hard, play hard, right?
That's right. Work hard, play hard. I definitely put in the hours. But yes, I was just relentless on the phone. I didn't give up on any call. And I was number one in the nation in 2005. And that gave me the opportunity to meet Warren Buffett, which was super cool. And just, with that experience, took off and went into mortgages, went into running an Allstate office, and then decided, hey, you know what? I think we can do this a little bit better than these other companies, and started Kilgo Insurance.
That's awesome. So you've been doing the insurance thing. Obviously, you're in Virginia. Because so many people come up to me and they talk to me about Lead with Umbrella. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how did Lead with Umbrella start? What does that mean? How do you lead with Umbrella?
When I started this company, I wanted people to have education and options. And I felt like they were leaving a lot of coverage on the table just to get a payment. Not necessarily that was even affordable for the household, but just the cheapest payment. And I thought that was just too commoditized, and it was not right. That people need to know exactly what they're paying for. And I really, truly believe that if you want to get anywhere in this industry at this point, you've got to be a great storyteller. And the umbrella fits that mold so perfectly because people don't realize, I think, how much things cost until they're in the thick of it. And just today, ironically, I was coming back to work from an Erie meeting. And I said, you know what? I'm going to pull off and get something to eat real quick before I hit the office. Just grab something real quick. If I had not done that, I would have been the next car at the intersection. And the car that was in front of me got into an accident right in front of me. I don't know exactly the severity of the accident, but I will tell you that both cars spun in the intersection. One person never got out of the car. The ambulance was there. So, these medical bills start stacking up. And the coverages, especially at minimal, will not cover the medical bills for that occurrence.
Right.
Whether you've got, whether the umbrella has to be used or whether the uninsured motorist or underinsured motorist has to be used. And we're about to do a video on that because I think people do not understand what uninsured motorists, underinsured motorists mean. And I think that's a very important coverage. I mean, it just goes along with the liability, but people don't understand it. So anyways, I just thought, hey, look, why don't we paint the picture of what a severe accident looks like, or what if, and then let people be the hero and understand why they need the coverage. And I've never had one person say, and you know what, I'll pass on that. I don't think I need that coverage, because we're not, superhuman. Yeah. We're all mortal and anything can happen at any time. So we create that doubt. We create that what if with the story.
So it's interesting because I always say I've had an 250-500 coverage since I was like 27, 28, and I had an umbrella then, but I'm 43. So you do the math and you realize
Wow, Kelly, you're super cool.
I love my
I
age.
don't know many kids that have that coverage.
Yeah, well, yeah, but Chris Paradiso was my agent or is
Oh,
my
there you go.
so.
Best.
But at that point in time, I think about it all the time that like, okay, so 250-500, well, $250,000, $500,000, $1 million was worth a heck of a lot more back, whatever, 15, 20 years ago, right? Than it is now. So I had the epiphany. I was like, well, I need to up my umbrella. Like sometimes we even get in the whole thing like, check, I have one, but I'm like, well, I had that when I was 28 and I'm 43. Just the inflationary rate of everything, my policy doesn't keep up,
Sure.
right? So it's an interesting thing, and I think so many people struggle just to get life insurance or get the umbrella. It's like people get into this focus of like, what do people need? Oh, they want home and auto, 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 and I'm always like, we get this like seed planted in our head of nobody has any money. Nobody wants to spend money on insurance. And so I'm curious, like, how do you overcome that? Because like at your level, people understand, but sometimes the staff doesn't really always get like, hey, and I always like think about like, do most of the staff think everyone is like destitute and like they're scraping pennies together to get insurance? Or, how can you break out of that mentality at the staff level? Because you've also trained your whole staff this way, which I think is super.
Sure. I always tell my staff value always, always supersedes price. People are willing to pay more for what they see value in. So they've got to feel it. I mean, that's the hardest part about insurance. You can't touch it, can't see it, can't feel it, can't smell it, can't taste it. So all the senses are gone. So what we really try to do is go through a couple of steps to lead into that story, lead into that connection. Do you know what your bodily injury limits are? And most people don't. So then we can use that as a selling tactic. Oh my gosh, I can't believe your agent didn't explain that to you. They didn't go over that with you. I mean, that's one of the biggest coverages that you want to know what you have driving around. Well, I'm sure they told you about an umbrella policy. And most people don't know what an umbrella policy is. So then we go into the story. We can go into a thousand different stories. Every other month, we're talking to claims and underwriting and trying to find out new stories. So we try to mix it up, but we always make sure it's a story that has happened before.
Yeah.
Once we tell that story, we just try to keep numbers even, right? Hey, so this claim is going to be $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
Your policy is only going to pay out the $250,000.
Where does the 750 come from, Jason?
Where's that 750 coming from? Do you have, if you feel like they can get it, make them do the math and it sets in real, that's real. Oh shoot, now I've got to come up with 750,000. And I love the people that are like, well, I don't make any money. So that's
Get
not
blood
good.
from a stone, right?
Right. So you can really hammer it home. Hey, do you want to pay this the rest of your life or don't you? Because it's coming from somewhere.
Yeah.
So we love to like put them on the spot, have that story set in, and then think, okay, this could happen.
Right.
That story could happen to me. People with stairs, houses with stairs, driving every day.
Amazon delivery packages coming to their house every day.
Yeah, you've got a dog, you've got adolescent teenagers, you've got a pool. Yeah, I mean, risk.
Have a home dinner party.
I mean, it could be anything, tons, thousands, right?
Yeah.
Thousands of situations. And so, we really try to put them in the hot seat, and let them say, hey, do I want to cover that 750,000 or do I want insurance to cover it? And by the way, typically it's about $200 to $300 a year. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And then once we get that, you obviously go right on down and get everything else.
Yeah. I was always trained to ask like a reciprocal question. So, Jason, say you and your wife are driving and someone hits you guys and your wife can never work again. How much are you going to sue that other party for? And then they start thinking, oh my God, it like millions because they can't work. And now we need care and our quality of life is much different. And then I would say, yeah, and your policy would cover up to this. And the rest, if that happened to you, would be wage garnishment.
That's right. Kelly, I'm curious, do you know why the limits are 250, 500,000, or why they're 500,000 for bodily injury, and why the umbrella is at 1 million? Do you know why?
I don't know.
So everything in insurance is broken down to statistics.
Right.
So it's not personal. It's all numbers.
Yeah.
Statistically speaking, this is probably 20, 30, maybe 50 years ago.
Yeah.
So statistically thinking, it is the average human life is worth 1.5 million.
It's so sad.
But now I'm sure it's higher, right?
Right,
So
right.
now,
I know. It's like I don't know. It's weird to put a price tag on life, but I know where you're going, so I'll get over my own
but,
little.
but that's where the numbers come from. And so that's how really you've got to make it. You've
Yeah.
got to make it to where, just like you said, hey, you lose a spouse,
Yep.
or you get some. We had a situation I just found out about, where it was a fender bender, but the lady, I guess somehow, the way she was sitting in her seat or whatever, she fractured her hip.
Mm.
Well, she had to have hip surgery. Well, during hip surgery, she had a blood clot.
Mm.
There was complications. Then she had to lose the leg.
Mm.
Then she got sick from that. And it goes on and on. So look, while that's happening, they can pin it all on the accident,
Yeah.
and all those bills go up. So, you might think, oh, it was just a fender bender, nothing happened. Well, you
Until
never know.
that. Yeah. No, I get it. And I think, I just feel like so many agents, like, they agree conceptually with the umbrella, right? But they almost don't do what you do, which is why I've always been so impressed by it. It's like, well, I want to get the home and auto because, like, I can secure that. The umbrella might upset them, and I'm like, upset about learning about a cover. Like, the worst they're going to tell you is no. But in insurance, we really do shy quite heavily away from any conversations that might put like a little wave in a relationship, right? Or like a little sticking point where it might get some pushback or a no or a friction point. And I've just been thinking about it a lot. Like, how do we get everybody to like release the idea that every conversation is going to be sunshine, rainbows, lollipops, goals? Like, sometimes we have to talk about the worst day of your life. What do you want your insurance to do?
Yeah, I think it's easy when someone calls in and says, hey, I want an auto quote. And then your first thing in your mind is, hey, I want to serve you. I want to help you the best way and fastest way possible. I'm going to get you the auto quote,
Yeah. And
right?
I'm gonna get a sale and I'm gonna get the pat on the head and my numbers are gonna go up and I'm gonna get some commission or I'm gonna get on the bonus board. And it's like there's a lot of check boxes, right?
Yeah, I just want to serve. I want to help you with what you need help with, and I want to be out of there, right? I want to go on to the next call. So what we really take time to train is, and your educational stuff is fantastic. Just put a plug in for that. We love your videos. We love your course, your training program. We are going through that, and if anything, it's like homework. We just keep practicing, right? And that's what
Yeah.
it's about. You got to keep practicing. So our process for our calls doesn't change with whatever the client asks.
That's the key. You go in with your process as opposed to being the order taker. You're the educator. And I use this a lot. Like, I know people kind of look at car sales like, oh, that's sleamy, like that's so. But I'm like, no, they follow a process, right? I go in and I look online. I'm like, I want this car. They always bring out 2 or 3 more for me to test drive. They don't just say, okay, here's your only car, like, because you want this, I brought out these other ones so you could compare them. And I just think that the way you're doing it is so smart. And I wish this whole industry would do better at not just being an order taker.
Well, you talk about the car salesman. The best salesman I've ever bought a car from,
Mm-hmm.
are the ones that try to sell me the warranty up front. You know what I mean? They already assume the sale. They already know I'm going to buy a car. It's which one. Let's talk about the radio. Let's talk about the warranty. Whatever the extras are, they're already selling that up front. And I think that's where most insurance agents miss the boat. They're trying to put the umbrella, the life, or whatever extra at the back end of the pot.
Right. If everything goes well, then I'll do it.
Right. Oh, I saved you this amount of money. Now you can afford umbrella. No, you need the umbrella. Now let's make it affordable for you can buy everything. You need the complete package.
Yeah, and we're doing this life insurance training with a group of eerie agencies that have just kind of banded together. And it's so interesting because I keep like we have 100 people on these trainings, right? And it's been great. I keep trying to pound into the service team. Hey, two things can be true at the same time. Their rates went up and they need life insurance. Like, just because your rates went up doesn't take away the fact that you need life insurance.
Right.
And when are we going to get over maybe the uncomfortableness or the discomfort or, all of that to say, hey, I know that this is tough, but where do you have your life insurance too? Like, let's just talk about it. And I think we get so caught up, like the worst you're going to hear is, don't ever ask me again. Okay, cool. I've noted your file and we move on,
Exactly.
and I think getting it through to the
They
team.
go sign something. I guarantee you, but they won't be so quick to say no.
Well, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm pretty confident. Like, if somebody like through your sales processes was like, I can't believe you'd ask me about an umbrella policy. You people are ridiculous. You'd be like, this isn't our customer. Move on to the next one, right?
Right. Right.
Like why do we get so in our head so much about X, Y, and Z? And it's like I've been telling the life class, like, you just need to cast the widest net. Sometimes, and this is why I love your lead with umbrella. It's like you don't overthink it. Like, they're 95 years old. Ask them about an umbrella. Like, but insurance, we're like, they're 95. They're not going to get this, or it's going to be too expensive because they've got youthful drivers. Like, we start putting all these boundaries in. Like, we're having a conversation with ourselves about their coverage where we need to just have it with the client.
Yes.
And I think it trips so many people up because we're like underwriting and only looking for this perfect situation where we might get a lot more yeses if we just ask everybody.
For sure. And I'll tell you, it gets tricky now more than ever because I feel like everyone we talk to has some kind of claim,
Right.
and some kind of problem.
Yeah.
We did not want to do this. We wanted to keep everything a complete package and bundled under one carrier. But I have to give a shout out to Monoline. They've been great. And so we could put the auto with, Progressive or some auto, only carrier, and then put the home with a home only carrier and still get them done, bro.
Right.
So there's always an option. There's always a way to win
Yeah.
and solve the problem.
It's the same way we say with life insurance. Like, there's final expense and guarantee issue. So don't worry that, oh, they're a smoker or they're overweight or they take a medication. Like, get them something to look at. 20-year term, $100,000. Like, that's all you got to do. Just get everybody
Yes.
seeing that and start the conversation. But I don't know, sometimes in our head, we are sales disablers. We're not sales enablers sometimes.
Well, it's you pass the test, so you are an expert. You're an advisor.
Right.
Right? Be an advisor, don't be an order taker. And I hear that all the time, but I don't think people think enough about how they should be advising. They just want to get sales.
Yeah, it's like we're almost
Easy
taking the
sales.
easy pathway out, but then we get really mad when our customers are all price sensitive, but we didn't really do anything different up front that would show them that we are. It's like we get in our own little bubble, in our own little ecosystem. But I do have one more question for you, just because I've been thinking about this a lot lately. And you're a pretty positive dude. Like, I've known you for quite some time now. I think we were talking about this the other day. I'm not exactly sure how long I've known you, but it's a while.
Yes.
Social media tricks with us, right? But I run into a lot of agency owners that are the staff, I understand, getting down on the market, right? Like, they have a lot of Groundhog Day conversations. They're at a different level. Like, their job has been pretty hard the past 2.5, 3 years. I will 100%, I would swear in the stack of Bibles about that. But I'm starting to see agency owners get really down. Like, can't hire. Oh, this market. Carriers don't want to write everything. And it's like so dangerous to me when you see a leader get that, because the staff takes that and now like 10x's it, right? So if the leader says this, the staff says this. So how do you stay always so like positive and driven? And don't get me wrong, and everybody's got hiccups and speed bumps and challenges, right? Like, I know I'm not immune to it. Jason Kilgo's not immune to it, but you've always been super impressed with me, like the mindset, your drive, like Jason can get like kicked in the face and then be like, come up, be like, yeah, let's do it again. Like,
Yeah.
where does that come from? And what advice would you maybe give another agency owner who's like just sort of in that really dark place about the industry and the market conditions, maybe?
I don't know what I told you before, but because that sounds like a lot. I just love to win. And so if I'm getting kicked down, I'm figuring out ways to get back to winning. I will say this, I just recently blocked off my schedule minute by minute from the time I wake up to the time I go to sleep
Smart.
Danielle Smink is awesome. She's one of my mentors. She told me, and Kelly, you said it as well. Sunday night, I figure out what I've got going on for the week and I block it off. And I just told my staff, hey, on certain blocks, you cannot bother me. You
Yeah.
cannot. I am doing this. I am completely wrapped up and focused on this.
Yeah. The
And
things that move the needle.
and one of the things I blocked off is from 12 to 1. And although I know it may not be consistent, it's there where I take a walk.
Good.
I am
Clear your
taking,
head, just stretch your legs.
yeah, and I've invited, and sometimes I think what I'll do is I'll invite staff and we could just have conversations about what creative ideas and things we need to do and what we need to accomplish. I also, Darren Hardy just did a podcast. I'm sorry, one of his things he does in the morning, the videos he does in the morning, where he's like, look, concentrate on your top 3 things that will move the needle and don't focus on anything else. There might be other things that you have to do. Fine, get them done, eat a frog, get those done early.
Yep.
And get it over with. But your 3 things that are a must that you have to accomplish. And he's like, look, it doesn't even have to be per day. It can be 3 things that you've got to accomplish for the month.
Yeah.
And work a little bit daily on those 3 things to get those things accomplished.
Yeah.
And that's how you're gonna win. So
I
listen to a lot of that. I listen to a lot of you. I've got a good mentor team. I've got a great mastermind.
You do.
I've also got great support at home.
Yeah.
And I cherish, I don't sacrifice my family time. And I think that's also what keeps me optimistic as well, because I know I need to be here doing this so that I can do that.
Even when the girls' basketball team is not paying attention to you.
That was rough. I had that conversation just with another agent earlier today, and it was brutal, but hey, we're through it. Hey, my son's team is in their playoff game Saturday, and we are playing an undefeated team. So it is.
Oh, this is serious.
Yes, it is.
No, but I love what you just said about that, Jason, because I know for me, if I don't do that planning, like I feel very weird for the week. Like it's not like I don't know what to expect. Like I don't feel like I have a rhythm. And on those big projects, I like whenever I start a big project, I map it out into like weekly, like, all right, this is my goal for each week, because sometimes I can't devote like 8 hours to it and I need to have some space. And then it doesn't feel so overwhelming. And it also makes me feel like accomplished, like I'm eating the elephant, But when you have to do like the big courses, like you said, I mean, we have to build courses that are 350 slides. Like you can't just sit down and do that and do it really well. You get tired. And then you just get fast and then they end up being crap.
and my wife says I got ADHD and I, to a certain degree I do.
Superpower.
Yeah. But that's why I had to block the schedule, because I need to make sure I'm getting things done. I realize that I've got so many things that are half done.
Yeah.
That it can't be like that anymore. We have to get things completed to move forward.
Well, and I feel like you also have a high sales acumen. And so like if you don't have a plan for that time, it's like a service call will come in or this will come in or somebody will come in. And it's hard to then say like you are doing things, but you're not doing the right things. And then you get frustrated, or you end up having to work Saturday and Sunday to get caught up.
Right. You don't want to do that. I don't have time for that.
No, your family's really important. You've got playoff games to go to and have world domination. Well, I appreciate you spending a little time with our audience and all the support you've given us and our friendship and relationship over the course of time. And, us 2 crazy Irish people in this industry. But, thank you for all you do. And thank you for coming up with the Lead with Umbrella. I think you really have impacted quite a few people out there. I don't know if you know that or not.
I just hope it's making the world a better place, and we're improving the agents, and everybody's getting better. Like I said, it's just something I thought of. I mean, there's so many different great aspects to it, but it really does make the most sense when you really are offering coverage.
Yeah. No, and that's why I think it's so great. Like it goes into how we structured our life course of like, just do it every time. Like, don't overthink it. Like, it's the habit. It's not reverse. And, in this industry, habits die really hard. Like we hold on to the way we've done things a little too long. So hopefully somebody listens to this and says, I'm going to do something different today. So
don't assume anything but the same.
Ooh, that's tweetable or Xable, I guess, today.
Yeah, follow the process. Stay consistent on the process, and don't assume anything but the sale.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, thank you, Jason. We'll get
Thanks,
you home
Kelly.
to your family. So we appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much.